Good afternoon, and thank you for joining me for this update on Jacksonville's response to COVID-19. Joining me on the call today is Sheriff Mike Williams, Deputy Chief Administrative Officer Stephanie Birch, Fire Chief Keith Powers, and Emergency Operations Center Director Steve Woodard, which will all be available for questions after we conclude this briefing. As of this morning, the Florida Department of Health's numbers for Duval County are as follows: 1,012 positive cases of COVID-19 in Duval County. Let me clarify, that is a cumulative number. That means somebody that tested weeks ago that has since recovered is also included in this number. There's asymptomatic people that didn't have symptoms that got tested are included in this number. And it's important to note that as we add testing, you're going to continue to see raw positives go up. The number we're watching is the percent of positives, which has steadily declined, which tells you the spread is slowing and the number of people infected is declining. 118 hospitalizations, 20 deaths, a positive rate of 4.3%. As our rate of positive results continues to steadily decline, I want to express my sincere gratitude to you, the people of Jacksonville, for the way you responded to this unprecedented crisis. It's because of your sacrifices and your efforts that we have flattened the curve and avoided the dire predictions that were forecasted for our city. As we move forward in the days and weeks ahead, I'm confident that you will continue to be responsible and adhere to social distancing and safe practices. Our city is comprised of kind, generous, and resilient people. I could not be more proud and honored to serve as your mayor. Thank you. Yesterday, Governor Ron DeSantis unveiled his plans to safely and methodically reopen our state. I'm thankful to the governor and his team for their leadership throughout this COVID-19 crisis. The plan he laid out yesterday is safe, smart, and ready to guide us step by step back to the life we knew before the virus. And it follows the guidance set forth by President Trump and the White House. These steps are data-driven and will require ongoing evaluations to ensure we're continuing to mitigate the impact of this disease. But if we each continue to do our part, each step will lead to the next and the next after that. The governor's plan for reopening Florida recovery is the formal starting point of a roadmap to reopening Jacksonville. In this initial phase, restaurants and retail businesses can begin slowly reopening their doors to customers with strict social distancing and mitigation measures in place. High-risk populations such as the elderly and immune-compromised are encouraged to continue self-isolation for the time being. Under the governor's orders, churches, synagogues, and other houses of worship remain open. However, rules pertaining to occupancy and social distancing still apply for now. My executive order limiting occupancy to 50 people in a public space will be amended Monday to be congruent with Governor DeSantis' executive order. I encourage congregations to continue virtual services when possible and to follow social distancing and CDC guidance. Bars, pubs, and nightclubs shall continue to suspend the sale of alcoholic beverages for on-premise consumption. I will remind you, though, throughout this entire executive order that the governor originally laid on, you can sell your liquor like a liquor store. So people can come and pick up to go. Gyms and personal care services under the governor's order will continue to remain closed for now, such as hair and nail salons and other services with prolonged person-to-person contact will remain closed for now. For those returning to work, I encourage you to be safe and responsible. As a reminder, my work from home order is in effect. If you can perform your job duties from home, you should continue to do so for now. Maintain a safe distance from others and wear a mask, wash and sanitize your hands frequently, and avoid touching your face, not just for your safety, but for your neighbors as well. All businesses should adhere to the appropriate social distancing and other guidance set forth in the governor's executive order and consult with recent guidance from the CDC. Starting Monday, restaurants can reopen with restrictions. Indoor seating will be limited to 25% of building capacity. Outdoor diners must be at least 6 feet apart from other parties, and party sizes must be limited to 10 or less. I encourage people working in the restaurant service industry to wear masks. Retail businesses can also open on Monday with restrictions. They too are limited to 25% of their building capacity and are encouraged to adhere to social distancing and CDC guidelines. Starting Monday, my restrictions on hotels and lodging will be lifted. This means they will be able to resume accepting reservations as normal. However, please note that the state prohibition on vacation rentals remains in effect. To help restaurants and hospitality businesses put together their plans for a safe reopening, my team has posted helpful tools and resources on coj.net/recovery resources page. Additionally, new hours go into effect at our beaches on Monday. They will be open for recreational activities for 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. As a reminder, those activities must be consistent with social distancing, such as walking, biking, hiking, fishing, running, swimming, walking pets, and surfing. Folks will not be allowed to congregate on walkways or crossovers, sunbathe, sit on towels, blankets, or chairs, or utilize coolers or grills. We have a long road to recovery ahead of us here in Jacksonville and throughout the country. Leaders across our nation will be making tough decisions in the days and weeks ahead. My team and I will continue to monitor conditions and will make well-reasoned, data-driven decisions in conjunction with the state leaders on when to begin the next phase of our city. I am in regular communication with our governor and his staff, and as we work through this, we'll also work with him. If there's an opportunity to tailor some of these decisions to our city and our county, we'll certainly be exploring those options. For now, I ask for the continued patience and collaboration from the people of Jacksonville. If we all do our part, the next phase will come sooner, much sooner, rather than later. One key component of reopening is enhanced testing. I'm pleased to announce that starting tomorrow, a new testing site will be operational at the Walmart location at 13490 Beach Boulevard. This site is the result of a partnership between Walmart and Quest Diagnostics. Appointments for this drive-through testing must be made online at www.myquestcovidtest.com and are available to anyone exhibiting symptoms of COVID-19, as well as all first responders and healthcare providers. There are now more than 24 testing sites throughout our entire city. That's more than 24 and more to come in the next few weeks. For criteria and locations closest to your home, my team has put together a helpful web page at coj.net/COVID-19 testing. There are certain locations you can go to if you have no symptoms. You can go to Lot J, you can go to Cougar Park, you can go to UF Health walk-ups with no symptoms and get a test if you would like to. My team and I have heard lots of questions from citizens about how to apply for the $1,000 mortgage rent and utility assistance we announced last week. I want to share that information about that now. As a reminder, this program is available to Duval County residents only with a household income of less than $75,000 at the time of application and have experienced a 25% loss in income due to the COVID-19 crisis. Starting tomorrow at 10, citizens who meet requirements can go online to jacksrelief.coj.net. That's jacksrelief.coj.net to schedule their appointment to receive funds. We got this money 1 week ago. We worked rapidly with our city council to appropriate it and allocate it. So I would just ask all of you to be patient. This is a new system we've built, new processes we are putting in place rapidly to get these money to people that need it. This will be a first come, first serve, so we do expect appointments to fill up quickly. As soon as the first 40,000 appointments are filled up, the system will no longer take appointments. So I expect that to happen fast. As we get additional capacity, there's a potential that it reopens. So I would expect that you will hear in short order, the media will be hearing that folks can't get an appointment. That will likely be the result of appointments filling up rapidly. Those who qualify for assistance will receive a confirmation number and appointment time. Please be sure to bring a copy of that confirmation number to your appointment. While the application process opens tomorrow at 10 a.m., appointments will begin Monday morning, and you will leave that appointment with the funds in hand. Those who do not have internet access can call 630-CITY, but no earlier than 10 a.m. tomorrow. Please use this option only if you don't have internet access and expect long waits due to very high call volumes. If you do not have an appointment, don't just show up because you will be turned away. When you arrive for your appointment, wear a mask. Masks will be provided for those who do not have one. We ask that people come alone and they bring a blue pen and the following items for verification purposes: driver's license or state identification and address for address verification purposes. Documentation you were employed on February 29th 2020, such as a pay stub, bank statement, or a letter from your employer. Either know or bring your Social Security number with you. We must have the number to register the payment card in your name. City employees are training and preparing now to make this program and distribution as safe and efficient as possible. I'm grateful for their efforts. Again, the website to apply is jacksrelief.coj.net. The site goes live tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. As we rapidly expand testing in the days ahead, our raw numbers will increase. What's important is to focus on the percent of positives, which has steadily dropped in our city over the last 3 weeks. Before I turn it over to questions, a few reminders. You can find resources for individuals and businesses, which is frequently updated at coj.net/recovery resources. This includes information on social services, financial relief, mental health counseling, trauma support, and disaster loans. Also would remind you to make a call at 7 o'clock tonight. Make that call. Just check in with somebody. You'll be glad you did. And with that, we'll open for questions. Jim with WJXT.
Mayor, a couple of things on the stimulus. When that opens at 10 o'clock tomorrow, you know that's going to be slammed. You said it's going to be slammed. People are probably not going to get in. How are you going to make sure that those who really need this get that money, since it is like first come, first serve?
Stephanie, I'll let you get into the specifics and the details of the process of that. Jim, the big picture answer is the criteria. Criteria is based on people that are going to have a need. Stephanie, you want to address process to verify that need?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To Jim, to try to answer your question, the mayor's exactly right. Anyone who's requesting an appointment needs to certify when they request the appointment that they meet the criteria. So they're going to certify before they even receive an appointment that they meet all the criteria, and then they will be recertifying that when they actually come in for their appointment to receive the card. So what we ask is that the public really pay attention to what the eligibility criteria are and ensure that they meet all of that before they try to get an appointment. And we're going on the assumption that if you're requesting an appointment, you have a need.
Amber with Action News.
Hey, Mayor, regarding the stimulus money, the website, have you guys tested it to make sure it will be able to handle this traffic? And how many people are working on the site?
We have tested it, and now Stephanie's also been running point on that. She briefed me on that this morning. I'll let her answer your question as well.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To Amber, yes, we've been testing it for the last several days and are to the point to where we're feeling pretty good and feel like we can release this to the public. So that's why we're announcing it today. But as of right now, we've got 30 IT people dedicated solely to this project, and that does not include our outside consultant who's also assisting with the load testing for the site.
Ann, First Coast News.
Morning, Mr. Mayor. You have, and you've been praised for leading rather than following on this COVID crisis. You were ahead of the feds and the state on the stay at home, the social distancing order. For reopening now, you're talking about wanting to make your orders congruent with the governor and the president. So I'm curious why the change on that. Also would like to know how many tests are being done in the county daily now.
Well, so the reopening, so the federal government has laid out a number of phases which are thoughtful. The phases are based on consultation with healthcare experts. We see those experts in the briefings at night, and there's others. The governor's plan is consistent with those phases. And so the governor has taken the lead on a statewide order to reopen in a methodical and thoughtful way. I'm certainly not prepared to get ahead of the advice he's getting on the safest way to reopen at this point. I am, however, willing, as we get through this first week of a reopening, to reevaluate how we may tailor the opening to Jacksonville, and have already discussed that with the governor. That is an option. I think the way that he's chosen to move forward is, again, based on number of physicians, doctors, healthcare experts, and this is a very incremental step forward, but there's an option to tailor in short order. And then there was a question on testing, Director Woodard or Fire Chief?
Yes, so thank you.
I think it was.
The question regarding the number of tests daily, what I can tell you is that from all sources in Duval County during the entire testing period, we've recorded over 22,000 tests. And as the mayor mentioned, the percentage of positive has been quite low, and the test locations are opening daily. At Lot J yesterday, there were 303 tests, and at Cooker Park yesterday, there were 118. So testing is available to the public. It's open, and we encourage people to continue getting tested.
Troy with First Coast News.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate your time. Just two quick questions. One, about the distribution of the stimulus money, why the city is going the route of distributing it at the Ed Ball and library as opposed to maybe mailing it out to people out of crowded spaces. And a second question about the reopening of Jacksonville. Is there going to be any guidance issued to maybe apartment complexes or HOAs about opening up some of their facilities and resources like pools and things like that?
I'm sorry, what was the second part of the question?
The second part was about, is any guidance going to be issued to HOAs or apartment complexes about opening up facilities like pools, gyms, etc.?
That will, HOAs can, they can open their pools. I mean, our parks are open. They need to be socially distant. They need to be responsible. They need to follow. Right now, I have an order in place that is that will expire on Monday, or it'll be rolled back on Monday, that says no more than 50 people. And it's, in terms of gyms and nail salons, the current order the governor's laid out, that's not allowed in this phase. It will be reevaluated or potentially likely allowed in phase 2. But as I said to a question a few minutes ago, I'm open to a discussion with our governor as we get through this week about tailoring some things to Duval County based on our experience of flattening the curve. And as I just gave you that long answer, I don't recall the first part of your question.
So the first part is why was distributing at 2 different locations chosen as opposed to maybe mailing it out to people that want this stimulus check?
This is about verifying. Look, people are in pain right now, financial, economic pain, struggling to make their rent, mortgages. This was designed to rapidly verify people and get money in their hands as quickly as possible. Stephanie, safe practices are in place. I mean, this is set up to keep people apart. Stephanie, do you want to add on to that, please?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To Troy, so there's really 2 reasons why we needed to have the in-person component of this process. Number one, there is documentation that we need to verify, and it was going to be too cumbersome to ask people to do that completely online. So we knew that we needed to have the in-person component to verify the documentation. And number 2, we want the person walking out the door with the funds in their hand. There's really no other way to do that other than to have them come in and meet with someone. So, and when we were setting up the process, we knew we wanted to use the main library because it had been closed. And so, it was a great space for us to be able to use in the conference center there. That worked out very well. But once we got in there and we're spacing all of the tables out with the way that we had the process flowing, we didn't have the capacity there that we wanted. So we added space in the Ed Ball building, which was very close, so that if we need to, go back and forth between the 2 buildings during the day, we can do that very easily. So it's really just about trying to add as much capacity right now as we can with the city employees assigned to the project that we do.
Lorena with Action News.
Hi, Mayor, and thank you for your time. Yesterday, I spoke with a gym owner who her setup is really different. She sort of has a gym that it's by appointment only, and she only has like maybe 4 people coming into her class at a time, meaning she could really control the number of people inside her small studio. Would there be an exception for businesses like hers that fall into the phase 2 category but aren't like a traditional large gym?
There aren't exceptions at this point. We're a city of 1 million people. The ability to take that information and process it, it's just not it's not efficient. It wouldn't be possible. So right now in phase 1, the governor kept gyms out for this period of time. And I would say that, look, Jacksonville is headed the right direction on the curve. I did speak to the governor yesterday about our city and am regularly, and going to continue to reevaluate and potentially in short order explore tailoring maybe some additional reopenings for our city. But let me just say, you know, the governor said yesterday that his reopening, I don't know if he used these words, but it was somewhat conservative based on consultation with healthcare professionals. When I spoke to physicians and hospital leaders in recent days about a reopening, and we talked about restaurants, their concern was, as we're on this downward trend, at least for the short term, how do you socially distance? So the governor moved forward with a 25% occupancy, which is a conservative beginning that could open up sooner rather than later as we continue this trend. Mike with the Daily Record.
Yes, hi, Mayor. In regard to elective surgeries, I know that Governor DeSantis is going to allow both inpatient and outpatient elective surgeries under his order. Is that going to be the same for your order? And are you concerned at all about hospital capacity and to be able to handle the inpatient elective surgeries?
So the city of Jacksonville never had an order on elective surgeries. That was a statewide order. And so the governor's new order to allow them will be in effect here as well. And our hospitals are comfortable with that. They are prepared in the event they have COVID-19 patients beyond where they are now. Sky with WJCT.
Hey, Mayor, two quick questions. One, I think, for Ms. Birch. I just wanted to ask about this info that you would give online before you would come in for an appointment. Is this going to require any scanning or anything like that that you would then have to meet that criteria before coming in for an appointment? And then for you, Mayor Curry, how is this going to be enforced at the restaurant level to keep things at a 25% level? Is this going to be something where the restaurants kind of just have to do it themselves?
I'll take the second part of the question, then Steffi can answer. Look, anytime there's an order in place, there's always an option to enforce. But we just want people to be responsible, and that's how they've behaved through this period of time. We're not a police state. We're not looking to catch people, that are trying to run businesses doing something wrong. We're in an unprecedented time in crisis, trying to reopen our economy thoughtfully. So, look, if people go into a restaurant and they feel unsafe and it doesn't appear that that's being adhered to, they're probably going to pick up the phone and call somebody. But I believe the people of Jacksonville and the people that own and run restaurants are, they want people to be safe, so they're going to follow the guidance at this time. And Stephanie, I believe, first part of the question was for you.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we're trying to keep the appointment request system very user-friendly. So when someone is requesting an appointment, they have to put in their name and basic contact information, and then they have to click a few boxes with their certifications that they meet the eligibility requirements, and that also they understand that their information may be subject to public record disclosure. That is all they need to do to request the appointment. And at that point, they'll be able to click the button to receive an appointment date and time.
David with the Times Union.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of questions. One is whether the city is going to be reopening libraries on Monday. I think that's something the governor's order allows cities to have that flexibility. And my second question is really about the time frame that's applicable when people are trying to decide whether they've lost 25% of their income. Is that 25% of their income over a year, over a month, over a 2-week period? What's the cutoff in terms of how people know whether they qualify for that threshold? Thank you.
David, to the first part of your question, the library question, this is actually a much bigger question. We are in the days and week ahead, we're going to be working through how we get city facilities and city employees back to work. There are budgetary impacts. The emergency order we're under for FEMA reimbursement, it's complicated for the way the funding works. So we don't have an answer to that yet, but the team is actively working through it. Stephanie, I'll let you answer the other part of the question.
Sure. Thank you, Mr.
And
Mayor.
if you want to add to that, Stephanie, you can.
Sure. Thank you. So on the 25% requirement, it's just based off of what their employment was as of February 29th. We built the program to really try to focus on the people who have been most affected financially by this crisis. So they have to bring in documentation to verify that they were employed on February 29th, and that since that time, they have experienced a 25% or more reduction in their wages.
Jim with WJXT.
You know, Mayor, following up a little bit on what you were just talking about, city offices, a lot of people are calling concerned the tax collector's office and things like that. Do you see sporadic openings happening there? Some people have to get their driver's licenses in person to have that ID, and they're concerned about that. What are the plans with city offices? I know City Council just canceled all of their meetings for the month of May, other than the Zoom type meetings. So what do you see happening there? And also, will malls be allowed to reopen under this partial reopening order?
Malls can reopen in accordance with the 25% occupancy. I would expect for a period of time council meetings to be on Zoom. I don't know what that period of time is. I've actually talked to council president and others about that. Phase one, you don't want 19 people sitting shoulder to shoulder. So at least for the foreseeable future, that'll happen. And then in terms of, we're working through all city offices. As I had said, it is not an easy answer because there are funding implications involved in FEMA reimbursements, overtime, budgetary impacts. It's a complex situation that the team is actively working through. Stephanie, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, sure. On your question, Jim, about the tax collector, I just would like to let everybody know that we have a workaround for that particular issue because I know that's come up on social media. You know, someone who recently moved to Jacksonville right before all of this happened. What do they do because they haven't been able to get a driver's license yet? So we're asking them to bring whatever their current driver's license is, whether it's from Texas or wherever else it may be, but also bring in a bill that has their current Duval County address on it. So that's how we'll verify that they are a Duval County resident, is with their current license, whatever state it may be from, and then ask them to bring in a bill that has their name and address on it.
Amber with Action News.
Yes, Mayor, just going back to the stimulus money, just wanted to ask, what you're doing to ensure that they aren't abusing the system like these. Are there enough safeguards to make sure that this money is getting into the right hands? And also, I want to clarify, so when people apply tomorrow, they have the paperwork, get the appointment, they will get the money on Monday. Is that correct?
That is correct. And
Okay.
I'll let Stephanie answer the other part of the question.
Sure. So, Amber, there is a process, an intake process that every person who receives an appointment is going to have to go through, where we will be verifying the information that we're asking them to bring with them. So verifying their address, verifying their employment information as of February 29th, and then asking them to sign the certification form with various things outlined on it. They have to certify that they meet all the criteria. They're also going to have to certify that they've received the card because that is in two different areas. So they go through the intake process first where their documentation is verified, the file is built, essentially is what's happening there. And then they will go to the next part of the process where they actually receive the card, and they'll have to sign another certification for receipt of the card at that point. And when they walk out the door, they've got $1,000 on their payment card.
Last question, Troy with First Coast News.
This question is for Sheriff Williams. I don't know if he would at all be able to comment on the arrest of Telvin Smith at all, say something about that.
Hey, Troy. Yeah, no comment. I mean, it's an open investigation at this point, so we're going to reserve comment for now.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you to the members of our local media again for your coverage of these unprecedented times we're in, and continue to practice social distancing practices, wear a mask if you're out getting essentials, and let's all just continue to behave responsibly. Thank you.